Welcome to a 10-minute hip opener mobility flow. In this mobility flow, we're going to be targeting common areas of the hips that hold tension that you may not traditionally be doing with the standard hip opener workout. In this flow, we're going to be focusing a lot on internal rotation and hip shifting so we can target more of the back half of the pelvic floor that a lot of us tend to hold a little bit more tension. This flow is great for pregnancy, it's great for the postpartum, and so you can really do it anytime if you're looking for a little bit more of a release. It's something that I'm doing after my runs now that I'm training for a marathon, so it's a great flow to do at any time. And all you need is a yoga block. If you have a bolster or some pillows, go ahead and grab those as well. And I'll meet you down on the floor to begin our 10-minute flow. So once you grab your yoga block, we're going to start by placing it underneath one knee. I'm starting with my left side. From here, I'm going to shift my weight over towards that elevated hip, and then I'm going to move through some pelvic tilt. So arching in the back, feeling maybe a little bit more of a stretch here in the lower back, more in the belly. And then exhale to round, pull belly to spine to feel more of a stretch kind of in this lower back area as well. So we're just moving back and forth between these two pelvic tilts, so arching and rounding, but make sure that your weight is still shifted over to that elevated side. So we don't want to shift over to the lower leg. We want to keep the weight over that top leg. In about 10 seconds, we're going to move into a rotation. So the hand that's on the same side as that elevated leg, we're going to begin to lift up towards the ceiling. So find a round and then reach up to the ceiling and then come back down. Drop belly to the floor, round, reach up, and then back down. So we're just kind of alternating between the two, adding in a little bit of that thoracic mobility. So we had that front to back thoracic movement. And now we have the rotational thoracic movement, but we're pairing it with this hip shift. So again, weight is shifted over to that elevated hip. So we have a little bit more internal pelvic rotation happening here, which really targets the back half of that pelvic floor. And if you didn't know how well you can open in your hips and change your pelvic position relies on your thoracic or your rib cage. And so that's why we're integrating some of these movements, even though this is a hip mobility flow. In about 5 seconds, we're going to lose the yoga block and we're going to find more of a twist. So keep that left knee down, right leg is going to come behind, and then we're going to kind of shift back here. We're going to feel a little bit more of a stretch in that back hip of the right side. You can also tuck the toes of that right foot to be a little bit more active in it. And you're going to feel it a little bit more in that hip pocket. And then again, making sure that we have a little bit of round and then come back. So again, tuck that toe, shift back into that hip to feel it a little bit more onto that right side. And you can come back and forth if you need. This one is a little bit less intense than the other stretch on that left side probably was, but can still be really helpful to getting into that deep hip pocket. In about 5 seconds, we're going to go ahead and switch to that other side. So placing that yoga block underneath the right knee now, same thing. I'm saying shift my weight over to the right. So like 80% of my weight is on that right leg. And then we're moving through those pelvic tilts. And so this hip shifted position where more of my weight is on the right leg, it's in an elevated position. So I have a little bit of kind of like a twist happening within my pelvis, brings this pelvic half into internal rotation. This is going to move that tailbone and that sacrum away from the right half of my pelvis and stretch more of that back hip pocket area. So you're probably feeling like a big stretch kind of in like that hip socket area. 10 seconds, we'll move into those rotations on this side. And go ahead and reach up to the ceiling, back down, drop belly to the floor, round in the back, reach up, and then come back down. So again, even though this is a hip mobility flow, we're still adding in that thoracic mobility or your rib cage mobility, because your rib cage position can really impact how well you can open in your hips. So if we have a more extended position, it's a little bit easier to find wider knees. But if I have a more rounded position, it's easier to find that internal rotation, where a lot of us tend to have more difficulty. Make sure that weight is still shifted over to that right knee, so we haven't shifted over to that left side. Let's go ahead and come into our twist. So left leg is going to come behind the right, tuck that toe, and then we're shifting back to the hips. So you might feel a little bit more of a stretch kind of in like the bottom hip pocket area. So this stretch is a little bit less intense than maybe the hip shift was. After this, we're moving into a 90-90 position. So start with the left leg in front, right leg is going to be behind you. We're going to start by reaching towards the right side. So we have this little bit of a side body opener, bringing you a little bit deeper into that right groin. That hand is going to come behind, and we're going to reach up with the left arm for a little bit more of a hip flexor release on that right side. And then just alternate between the two. So reach over with the left side body opener, and then extend on the right, more of a hip flexor stretch. Just alternating between the two. Try to keep weight even between your two hips as you come down. It's going to help you bring you a little bit deeper into that groin area. In about 10 seconds, we're going to move into a pigeon with the left leg in front. You can either maintain this 90-90 position, or you can extend the right leg back. So either maintain 90-90 and come down to feel more of that groin stretch, or you can extend that right leg back. If there's a ton of space down here, you can put your yoga block there or some pillows so that you can sit here more comfortably. So again, leg can be straight behind you, or we can maintain the 90-90 and come down if you need a little bit more support in this position. So choose whichever feels best for you. And then we'll finish up by doing the 90-90 side camel on the other side with a pigeon as well. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side now. So right leg in front, left leg behind. Reach up with the right arm towards the left side. Place that right hand behind you, extending the hip, and then alternate between the two. So we have our right side body opener, sinking a little bit more into that left hip. Hand comes behind, extending the hip for that hip flexor stretch, and then alternate between the two. We got some lateral ribcage mobility, some hip extension happening here to really create a little bit more space in those hips. In about 10 seconds, we're going to move to the pigeon on the right side. So either maintain the 90-90 position or you can extend that left leg. So you can either come forward to the right leg, maintaining this position, or again, extend that leg back, and then you can come down to the forearms. If there's a ton of space underneath here, again, you can take your yoga block, place it underneath your hip just to give you a little bit of support. So we have something that's helping more with like those deep external rotators here.
Halfway there.
So in this mobility flow, we had internal pelvic rotation with the hip shifts. We had front to back thoracic mobility in addition to rotational thoracic mobility. We got deep into the hip socket area with the twisted movement. Then we had internal and external hip rotation with some lateral side body opening and now a deep hip opener here. And go ahead and come back to a seated position. Slowly come out of it. And this concludes our hip mobility flow. So we had a hip opening flow here that may not have included all of the traditional exercises that we think of with hip openers. Typically, we think of hip openers as everything is opening up. It's very wide, it's very open, but in order to improve mobility of our hips, we also need the internal rotation and the closed hip positions. And so hopefully your hips are feeling a little bit more loose. Maybe your rib cage just feels like it can move a little bit more. And again, this flow is great for pregnancy. It's great for the postpartum. And if you want more flows like this, more workouts designed to support you in this perinatal time frame, check out our online fitness programs. Our online fitness programs are designed to help support you throughout your pregnancy, into your postpartum, and beyond. And you can check out all of our fitness programs on our website at MamasteFit.com and use code YouTube10 to get 10% off any of our online offerings. And then be sure to subscribe to our channel because we got new workouts released every Tuesday to help support you throughout your pregnancy and birth and beyond.